Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Dane Action channel. And in today's video we're going to look at my first ever experience with gravel, and this was also with none other than Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas is a successful Formula 1 driver who has become very prominent in the world of gravel racing so far, and he's even organized his own races as well with his partner Tiffany Cromwell. That aside, I decided that I would head over to Finland to try my first ever gravel race, and Argon 18 very kindly kitted me out with their beautiful Argon 18 dark matter gravel bike with electrical gear shifting, and really is top of its game in terms of gravel bikes. Unfortunately, in the race itself, I very quickly realized on the start line that Bottas was in fact not in my race. He had elected not to go for the long route, but rather the medium lane. So I decided that I came to Finland to ride with Bottas. So I dropped out of my race and waited for the medium guys. Shortly after that, the plan was a success, and there he came, the blonde man from Finland, and suddenly we were underway as I was on the wheel of the most famous active Finnish driver and possibly also the best Finnish cyclist. Former World Tour rider Rick Zabel was in this group as well. The group distanced me a bit, but I was just trying to battle on, and this of course was my first ever gravel experience, and to do it with Valtteri Bottas was quite interesting. But the tires very thick, the terrain very undulating as well, and you can just see there that I was trying to keep my best to stay on his wheel. Very blonde. I've never seen anyone as blonde as Valtteri Bottas, but I was just trying to take it as calm as possible. This group was going very hard. I could feel the pace. It was comfortable. Bottas looking behind there thinking, who's that person with that Danish flag? As of course I wasn't part of their race. I had DNF'd my own race, so here I was just getting involved with their race. You could see the beautiful canyon as well that he was riding, but I was feeling quite comfortable here. The pace wasn't too hard. The terrain certainly not too hard either. And you can see they were starting to just relaying here. This man looking, thinking, who is this man with a Danish flag on? But Rick Zabel was the one taking up the pace now in front. These guys were well ahead of the second group on the road in their race. But Valtteri Bottas taking a very calm, white all over, white kit, white helmet, white socks, white hair. At this point it was quite comfortable. The terrain was not that challenging, and just enjoying the nice views of Finland, and it was absolutely a brilliant day as well. The terrain was starting to get a bit tougher here as they were choosing to take the more rougher part of this track. There was a few potholes as well to get accustomed to, but Rick Zabel doing a massive turn here, and apparently he was also doing this for Bottas, being his domestique here. But a slight elevation here, and again this wasn't too difficult, and you can see Bottas getting out of the saddle here as well. But I felt comfortable at this point. It wasn't really the pace that was gonna be my Achilles in this. It was more the terrain itself. These guys, of course, were very experienced on the gravel. This was my first ever gravel, and I must say that I did feel the terrain, the surface, the gravel, that was a bit of a hard one. But here on the climb, it felt very good. Not too hard the pace for me. But yeah, just sitting on with Bottas was quite an incredible little thing. Thinking the man that you've watched so many times in a Formula 1 car, but here he is on a bike in front of you. Yeah, just trying to stay upright, trying to stay comfortable, and not opening up any distance between me and Bottas too much. But here in the descent, Bottas and the others were just opening it up a bit more than I did. I was choosing to just focus on my own line here and just getting caught out by some of the rugged terrain here. But you can see there a bit of a gap opening up in the descent because I wasn't actually that committed on the descent, seeing all the loose gravel everywhere. And yeah, maybe I could have hung on a bit just to have saved energy. But the terrain is definitely getting a more rugged here, and there's another descent here. And this point you can see the camera just going all over the place, and the gravel is quite bad. And the tires are very thick. The ride was very smooth, but at this point you can see the camera is even struggling with the level of gravel here. So yeah, a bit of argy-bargy in terms of the road surface here, but very quickly I got on his wheel again, and I was just trying to maintain a good pace here, and Bottas' smooth riding style. It was still Rick Zabel at the front here, pulling the group. But yeah, I was still fairly comfortable at this point. It wasn't too hard, but it was the terrain. The terrain really was starting to drain away on my energy, and yeah, they were a bit better bike handlers than me on this kind of surface. But Rick Zabel, a man who's been in Katusha, who's been in Israel Premier Tech, and a World Tour rider, and they're just pacing us, not too hard but not too soft either. And Bottas there, you can just see him rocking a bit on the bike, and another uphill section. But I felt very comfortable on the uphill, but it was more the rugged terrain, the loose surface that was going to catch me out, if anything. But this very elite group that had ditched all of the other medium riders was quite a good pace. They were working well together as well, but having Rick Zabel there at the front certainly was helping a lot for Bottas. But you can see that the terrain here in Finland is absolutely beautiful, green grass everywhere and very colorful day. But yeah, Bottas with his very unique canyon and yeah, potentially the fittest Formula 1 driver there is, and that tag is quite a high bar as well. But I was feeling comfortable. I wasn't feeling like I was being pushed into the red too much. It was more being pushed into the red in terms of bike handling. But yeah, Bottas was doing, well, he wasn't really doing anything, was he? It was Rick Zabel. But it was a pleasure to be on his wheel and just seeing that, yeah, I still couldn't believe how blonde he was. But Bottas, still third wheels, Rick Zabel still out in front, pulling a big turn here. I was thinking maybe Zabel would have done more rotations, but he really was just taking up that domestique role as we were coming a bit down to a fast section here. The gravel you can see is starting to kick up with the camera, and Valtteri Bottas, very smooth riding style, not too bothered about anything. And yeah, I was just able to conserve my energy. I was more looking out for any of the rough terrain or the rough surfaces on the road. But yeah, Bottas, not really too bothered about that. Very experienced gravel rider at this point, also qualified for the World Championships, of course. But yeah, Rick Zabel still pulling the group here. It was more of a undulating section here. We were starting to go uphill here as well, and you can see I was just losing a bit of touch as I didn't quite see that I was coming. I was fairly comfortable on this part. It didn't seem to bother me too much, even though that they were pulling the watts here. I didn't have a power meter, which was a shame, because I'm sure that the watts would be quite significant at this point. You can see on the downhill, I'm losing distance every time. Bottas just trying to tuck in a bit, but yeah, it was more me not wanting to go fast because I wasn't comfortable on the loose terrain. And you can see here the ride behind me even sensing an opportunity to go past me. But yeah, no longer on Bottas's wheel, losing my position, but I could still see the blonde fin. And yeah, I was just not comfortable with this. You can see the camera as well is not liking it. This rugged terrain that was catching me off guard a bit, not used to very loose gravel on the road and riding over it. And I think that's just going to be an experience thing as well. But Bottas still there in a very comfortable position, and I think this is where I was really starting to lose touch with them, because it was the road, it was the loose gravel, it was just all of this. And on this turn here, we go into a very rough turn, and here it's a very loose surface here, and I was starting to feel it now, the loose surface, the gravel, and I just got gapped here by 10 seconds here, and that was looking like I wasn't going to make that back. So yeah, what an experience being on the back of Mr. Valtteri Bottas, the best Finnish gravel rider, potentially best cyclist as well in Finland. What a pleasure that was just to be on his wheel, a man that I've been watching on Formula 1 for so many years. But anyways, with that, that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel here on the Cycling Dane Action. And if you want to see me trying to follow Roglic's wheel, why not check that out? Or even see me try to beat a World Tour sprinter. But as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you around.